Hello, I thought I would give you a walk around the elliptical garden that I've been working on for the past couple of years. So it's built on a hillside. I've got quite a few new plants like the verbena, purple verbena, that are blooming and should grow over the summer. And this is the lower bed. It's got things like the Shasta daisy that we're all familiar with, and these super tall cone flowers that are just starting. I'm gonna have hundreds of those in the next month. These are scabiosa, which I picked up on a walk. Picked up some of the seed heads on a walk. Here's more of my cone flowers. And these are yellow. That's actually a bush lupin. It's this yellow color. I've gone with white, yellow, and purple flowers mostly for this bed, with a few pinks in between. And of course the avocados that I've had fun with are getting towards the end of their season, so I'll cut them down and they'll resprout with their prickly gray green leaves. Have some buckwheat, and then I planted several different versions of this ornamental tobacco, which will get rangy and sort of asymmetrical and a little wild. I have the butterfly or the hummingbird sage, which is kind of a mat mixed in with an aster mat, which is over to the right. More of the verbena and the hydrangeas in the distance. Never really had much success with the daylilies, but I have had these sort of, I'll forget the name of them, but sort of a feather type plant that's purple that will be growing up. I got a couple dozen of those. And then my friend Eric, he gave me this big sort of sagey type plant that's purple. This thing will bloom all year pretty much, which is super fun. And then dill, look at this dill, 6 foot against the blue sky. Look at that. The dill, the gophers don't seem to mind the dill too much. Then I'll walk around. There's a great planting of the daisy. And then this is the perfect time of year to veer away a little bit and see the crocosmia. This is just fire red. The deer love them, so I have to enjoy the blooms while I can. This particular cultivar is called Lucifer, so I feel kind of guilty ever using those in a church flower arrangement. Anyway, as I turn back towards the elliptical garden, some of these plants, like the rhododendron and the snowball, have already bloomed for the year. There's one of our Christmas trees, one that I planted, get super tall. And then my cycad, this one is out in the sun. It's kind of pale, it's frost damage, but it's got new fronds coming in, which I'm totally jazzed about. More verbena. And then, oh, what's the name of this one? It starts with the letter C. It has purple flowers. It's used as a coffee substitute sometimes. Chicory, that's what that one is. All right, and I got bee balm, which by the summer, mid to late summer, should be big and fluffy and colorful. And then this is the surfboard terrace with my daisy hedge. Look at all these daisy hedge. And then when David visited a couple of years ago, John, David, and I went to the Arboretum in San Francisco. And so I created over the last couple of years my Arboretum corner, sort of the prehistoric one. It's kind of cool and wet in here. And you can see these wonderful huge leaves, and decided to go a little kind of tropical and mixed in here. This is the wettest part of the garden. And look at the size of these leaves. called Gunnera. Also sort of like a dinosaur plant. And these hydrangeas, I tried to dig one out one time to move it and I gave up. There are so massive root systems on them. Yeah. And in the middle of the garden has alliums, which are starting to bloom. More artichokes, and this yucca, which was a volunteer. I moved up here. And then the yarrow will be in different colors. And the great mullein, which will be super tall with yellow flowers at some point. And I have a lot of problem with challenges with the deer and the raccoons and all that. So I've planted white marigolds in and around this fountain and some other seeds. So we'll see if if my burlap string there will twine will deter any of them. I put a fabric over the water at night to see if it keeps the deer away. And then, yeah, here's the other side of the surfboard terrace. And then these are super tall sunflowers. These grew up to like 10 feet. I've got, well, this is actually called Jerusalem artichoke, which is a kind of sunflower. But if you come over here, look at these guys. These will be 10 feet for sure. They'll be yellow sunflowers. Small sunflowers. All right, my lupins are done. My columbines are done. There's more tobacco. All right. And this is sort of an exotic that I got. It's from Central or South America. And that's a big shrubby tie. I got 2 of those. Has really interesting sort of oak-like leaves. It's kind of a sub-tree. It's a shrubby, a tree-like shrub actually. And then I just moved my Louisiana iris because they were blocking the lighting at night, which I'll customize tonight in red, white, and blue. Patriotic light. So here's one of the lights. I've got 4 of those that I can make any color I want, which is kind of fun. And then I have under deck lighting, which I also can make red, white, and blue, which is quite effective. At Christmas time, I can make it different colors. So I'm going to walk back. This is one of the better views of my hedge. It is that time of year when the hydrangeas and the daisies are going. And then in here I've got mixed what is called gold dust shrub, which will get pretty big. And then in the back there's a Fatsia japonica, which is like a, what do they call that one? A snowflake. A snowflake Fatsia. So the leaves are shaped kind of like a snowflake. And it's funny, I got some volunteer legumes in here, which are, what are those? Oh, I forget the name at the moment. I have agapanthus mixed in, and then more dill, and then this is from the altar at church. This is from last year's Lent. This is a curly willow. We'll see how well that does. All right, and if I do a spin around, then this is my ring that I've been amending, which has 2 Rogers Red grapes, red twig dogwood, and then a quince, which is hopefully will get big. All right, that's sort of a walkthrough of the lower garden. Yeah, it's my little spot. You can see I can sit here and watch the traffic go by. Whee! Thanks for visiting. Oh, there's a couple of birds that are checked out the water. All right, bye.